What's up, creators? It's your boy Mad Mike, and on today's episode we're going to be firing up the 440 big block that we yanked out of a motorhome, and we're going to be going over everything that we need to do to be able to install it into our 1970 Plymouth Duster drag car. So stay tuned and check it out. Alrighty then, so first things first, I'll give you guys a quick rundown on this 440 big block that I got behind me here. We got it on our engine run stand, and then we'll kind of walk over to the Plymouth Valiant or the Plymouth Duster. We'll pull off the hood, we'll have a look inside the engine bay, and I'll kind of go over all the details that I'm gonna need to do in order to be able to install this 440 into this Mopar A-body. A couple other things that we did. We got our massive 33/18 on 15-inch weld wheels mounted with their new M&H tires. If you watched the last episode, I got them both mounted, got them both on, they fit. Yes, I've read the comments, the back end of the car is sitting a little high right now, especially for this being a drag car. Don't worry, I did that for two reasons. One, I love the street freak, street machine look. So I'm building this car, you know, not specifically as a drag car right now. I just want to rebuild this car with a 440 into a badass looking car. And then sure, we might bring it to the track and see what it does on the quarter mile. This motorhome motor is just stock. But with that being said, the back end, I jacked it up probably about 3 inches from when I first picked it up. So once we get the motor sat in here and it's sitting on all of its weight on the front end, we will go ahead and lower the back end down and tuck these wheels up inside the wheel wells. I also had to jack it up in order to get these tires on, because without the rear end hanging down, I'd have to undo all my shocks and drop the whole rear end, get the tires on, rebolt everything back up. So long story short, yes, I will be lowering the back end. So thank you for your comments on that. And I've never drag raced before. I've never even been to the drag track. So this is all new to me right here. You know, I build cars for a living. I'm a fabricator. I restore classic muscle cars and build resto mods for a living, but I've never been to the drag track and I've never built my own drag car. This is a first. So I'm learning lots as well. When I was mounting these wheels, or putting these rims onto these tires, is the first time for me. And if you watch this video clip right here, I was struggling putting the tires on. Now, the reason why that was happening was because I was putting the face of the rim on the tire the wrong way. There's a right way and a wrong way, and if you see here in this clip, I finally figured it out, and the the rim just went inside the tire like butter. So I learned my lesson there. But with all that being said, oh, one more update. On the inside here, I've gone through all my wiring, which is awesome, but we got a driver's seat, which is a Kirky. So I ended up going and getting my girlfriend to pick up this passenger seat, which is also a Kirky out of like a stock car. So we're gonna modify it by flaring these out a bit, but at least now I got two kind of somewhat matching Kirky aluminum racing seats inside the car, which will be killer, because when we get the motor in, I can take my girlfriend or a friend or passenger around the block and scare the shit out of them. So that's enough of an update on the car for right now. Let's jump into this motor, quickly go over the details of this motor, the run stand, and then just fire it up. We'll pour some gas down the carb and see how it sounds and see if we can get it to start. Okay, let me pull off this WRX carbon intake. Just covering up the carburetor so I don't get crap in there. I don't know, leave a comment below. Should I actually use that on the Duster? Kind of works. I could weld up the hood and just keep this scoop here on here. Kind of got a bit of a 6-pack scoop vibe going to it, but it might be too small, so I'm getting distracted. Squirrel! I got bad ADHD and I gotta stay on point, on check. So what was I talking about? 440. All right, so first off, let's talk about the run stand. This is basically just a engine stand that I got from Princess Auto, like Harbor Freight basically. I modified the stand a bit to accommodate the 440 big block. I welded on some little rad supports here. And on our controls, we have all of our stock Mopar 440 wiring that came out of the motorhome. So I literally have lights, turn signals, tail lights, horn, ignition, everything. This is the whole wiring harness that came out of the motorhome, which I think was a Dodge Sportsman from 1978. So this is the last year of the 440 big block. I got my ignition, switches, power, and all here. This is our start, and this is our power for our fan. So that's all good there. This is all factory Mopar stuff with our oil pressure gauges hooked up right now. Our amps, our tack, and our water temp isn't, but I do have a digital temperature gauge that I can aim at everything, make sure that our thermostat's kicking on, etc., etc. So I just wired this all up with factory leads going to our relays and whatnot, and everything is plumbed in to the motor. And this is a stock 440 big block out of, again, a 1978 Dodge Sportsman, and it's believed to have 11,000 original kilometers. This is a super low kilometer motor, and you can tell just by the factory stickers that are on here, factory paint. There's just like dirt on here, basically, is what's sitting on here. I haven't even cleaned this motor yet. Carburetor is running great when I do fire it up. Factory distributor, alternators factory. Now, these headers are going to be going away. So I'll give you guys a glimpse of what this sounds like with these headers. But we have, for the 70 Duster, a set of fender well headers right there. So those are going to go on, and that's going to be quite a bit louder, I think. So stock motor, we're going to be cleaning it up a little bit. Now, what do you have to do to fit it inside an A-body Mopar? Well, let me go over a couple of things that you need to do. Number one, to clear the K-frame, the oil pan on these, if I can show you down there, let's see here, is a rear mounted sump, and the oil pan dips down at the back. So the issue you have with that is, if we can look inside here, where the oil pan comes here, it'll hit all your steering rack. So you need a center sump or a forward sump oil pan, if I'm correct there. But anyways, I got myself a center sump or a mid sump, which you can see here. It's just a used oil pan off of a 440 that we were tearing apart at work, and the owner was going with a new one, so I ended up cleaning this up here. It's got a little braze in there, but anyways, this is going to clear our K-frame and our steering rack, and you're going to need to get a new oil pickup as well to make sure everything's working good there. Got a new seal for the plug, and yeah, we'll paint that up. We'll paint the motor up on another vlog. So that's one thing you need to do. Oil pan, boom. Your headers, if you have stock fender wells inside your Mopar, your A-body or whatnot, if you have inner fenders, your headers might hit. So you might have to get different headers compared to the truck headers. They're going to be a little bit different. So that's one thing to look out for. In my case, I have no inner fenders. I got some tubing that comes down and around, and I got my fender well headers that I'm going to be using. So that's not an issue. So the next thing that you're going to need to modify is the transmission. Right now we have a 727 automatic transmission mounted to the 440 big block out of a motorhome. But if you look right there, if I can put the light on, you got your tailstock. This is a bolt-up style yoke or whatever you want to call it, and you got a short tailstock. So this is no bueno. I do have a drive shaft inside the 70 Duster, so I want to utilize that. I could use this and get a custom drive shaft made to our Ford 9-inch rear end, but I don't want to do that. So what did I do? I just went out and bought a new transmission. So I bought myself a 727 for a big block that's got the long tailstock on it. With the slip yoke will go right inside there. So basically, this will bolt right onto our 440 big block. I'm just going to swap out the automatic transmissions, and I'll be able to hook this right up to our drive shaft inside the car. So if you're putting the 440 big block into a Mopar, you're going to need to change the tailstock. You need the long one out of a car. Okay, so you can swap the tailstocks from this onto this, but in order to do that, you're gonna have to pull out a bunch of your internals, C-clips and whatnot to be able to remove that tailstock and install your new one. In my case, this has been rebuilt, this automatic transmission. So we are going to hook it up, make sure everything works good. It's got correct fluid, and it should work out good. We'll test it on our engine run stand before we put it in the car. But that's another thing you need to change. Alrighty, focus, come on, focus. There we go. All right, I know I'm kind of talking, blabbing on a bit, and you guys want to just hear this 440 big block fire up, and we will fire it up. But I just want to kind of answer some of those questions, because with me putting a 440 into an A-body, I had to learn a lot of this stuff, and through forums and whatnot, I'm figuring that out. But there's not too much video information online on what you need to do or what you have to modify to put a 440 big block out of a motorhome or a truck into an A-body car or E-body or whatever it is. So I just wanted to clarify with you guys and give you guys some pointers on what you might need to change and what to look out for when you're doing the swap. It's not a straight swap. Engine mounts are another thing. So as you can see here, I got these motor mounts out of these are off of a car. I'm ordering all new motor mounts that should be in tomorrow. And the ones that come on out of a motorhome are usually quite a bit bigger, and the brackets are a lot larger, and they are like a bolt style. I don't like these styles, so you do have to change these out too. So that's another thing you gotta change out. But like I was saying, I just want to mention to you guys all these little things I'm noticing, because they might help somebody out that's planning on doing a 440 big block swap into their Mopar. As well, comment below. I love learning new things. Again, this is a first for me, putting a motor into a drag car or even just into a muscle car. You know, we do it at work all the time, but on my own, learning everything, unbolting transmissions, yada yada yada. It's a first time for me. So leave a comment below with anything helpful that might help me out to get this motor inside the car. If you have any other tips on what I need to look out for putting a 440 into an A-body, please let me know, because I don't know everything. I'm learning, and whatever I learn, I will pass on to you guys. All right, so with all that being said, I think it's about time we fire up this 440 big block on the engine run stand that we have. So things we need to do: hook up our battery, drop our fuel line into our jerry can, and push it towards the door so we got some ventilation. You might see some smoke coming off the motor. It's just some penetrating lube that I put onto the header bolts, just so I can loosen those off when I put our fender well headers onto it. So that might smoke a little bit. Other than that, yeah, let's just fire the motor up, see if it'll start, number one. Let it run for a couple minutes, and then we'll give it a couple good whaps, a couple of revs, and let you guys see how it sounds with these just straight pipes, basically. All right, step one. We got the exhaust pointed towards the door there, so that can just straight out that away. And step two will be hooking up our battery, and then we will throw in our, whoa, this is a brand new battery, by the way. It's got a lot of good cold cranking amps, so that's good. And then we'll drop our jerry can in there with some gas. Let's put that there. Put this here. And we will hook everything up. All right, so we got our power hooked up here, some secondary power that goes to our, like our ignition switches and whatnot. We got our ground, which is right here. We will grab some vice grips and clamp that onto there. Good ground. We got our power. We will slip on when we're ready for it. All right, we got some fuel in our jerry can, some premium. Yeah, I splurged and got some premium. I got a little filter on there, that way I can just see if there's fuel going to our pump and if it's drawing fuel from our tank, and if there's any debris getting trapped. So we got a little screw in there. let's go ahead, dip this inside of our tank, like so. We'll make sure it's at the bottom there. Let's turn this guy around. All right, there we go. So that's at the bottom of the tank. Perfect. All right, now anytime you're doing something like this, keep your fire extinguishers handy. Safety is very important when you're doing stuff like this. We've got another one right up here if I need it. So let's just do this too. Let's just grab a little rag and throw it around the opening of this jerry can here. And yeah, I think we're almost ready to try to fire this thing up. So again, I got my fan switch here when it gets up to temperature. I got my ignition power that goes to my coil and my distributor. And then I got my start button here. So we should be pretty much ready to go. We just got to hook up power. We might have to drop a little bit of fuel down the fuel bowl to get it to prime itself. There's no choke on here right now, so we'll see if that fires up. As you guys can probably tell, I am wearing my big puffy winter jacket because I'm up here in Canada and it's freezing cold outside. There's a bunch of snow, so I want to stay warm with my door open. But enough jibber jabbering, let's go ahead and fire up this 440 big block that we are going to be shoving into this 1970 street freak street machine Plymouth Duster. You guys ready to hear this thing? It sounds fucking loud, like real loud. And this is not even with the fender well headers on it. This is with those manifolds and a little bit of straight pipe, but it's freaking, it makes your chest thump if it starts. All right, here we go. All right, let's hook up the power. We have power, we have ground. Let's flick up our ignition and our 12 volts go into our distributor and our coil. Hit the push button, see what happens. Switch, switch. Here goes nothing. It fired right up. Look at that, it even idles. Oil pressure, is it about 68, 70 maybe? That's good, so we got good oil pressure. I have no idea if you guys can hear me or not. I don't even know what this sounds like on camera. Whoa. That makes my chest like thump. Wow, that is loud. Running really, really good. Idles, that fired up first try. It's been sitting for probably almost a year, like 6 months or something crazy. Great oil pressure. We'll check the temperature and stuff in a bit and see if our thermostat opens up. Here's our throttle. Wow. Wow. sounds like on camera, guys, but this thing is a monster. Let's give her one more little rev. All right, let's go ahead and shut this down. We know it runs. Kill it. See if our fan works. Oh. Yep, you guys can probably hear that. Nice. All right, job well done. Take the power off here, and now that you guys have heard the 440 run, it didn't actually smoke at all either, which I'm pretty surprised with. So this thing is going to be a runner inside this car, which I'm super excited about. Leave a comment below if that sounded good on camera, guys. I have no idea what this is going to sound like, but in person, this is ridiculous. Let me take off the hood and show you a couple more things underneath here that I wanted to show you guys. And then we'll call it a video, but man, this is a fun build. All right, let's go ahead and yank this hood off. All right, now that we got the hood off of the 70 Duster, I'm gonna show you guys a couple more things. So I got all the wiring labeled here and tucked away. That way we're kind of ready to drop the motor in, but we still gotta weld up these motor mounts. So when they come in tomorrow, the motor mounts for the block side of the engine, I'll drop the motor in with the new transmission once we get the transmission swapped onto this motor, which I'll also make a video on that too, so you guys can kind of see how that goes. Again, it's my first time mounting a transmission to a 440, so it should go fairly smooth, but I'll capture that on video so you can tell me what I'm doing wrong, and I can show you guys if I'm doing anything right. But anyways, once those motor mounts on the block side come in, I can drop the motor in and with the transmission and weld up some brackets that will support our motor at our correct degrees and our correct placement if we need to shift it back or forward. The original owner of this car chopped out all the old motor mounts, so as you can see, I don't have any. What they had was an engine plate. Great for a dragster. I could use this. I don't feel like pulling off my water pump housing, draining all the coolant, and pulling apart my transmission to mount the transmission plate and redoing that back up and adjusting my pulleys for my alternators. I don't want to do that. I just want to drop this motor in and get this car running, driving, stopping, going down the street. So we're ditching the engine plate. We'll hold on to it. Could use it if we start dragging the car if we want to, but I'm going to fab up some motor mounts down here and over here to clear our steering box or whatever you want to call it there. And once those are all welded up, the transmission will get it in the right location, slipped into the drive shaft with the correct clearance, about 3/4 to an inch of slop. And once we get our transmission in place and our motor at the right angle, we'll go ahead and bend up and weld up our own trans cross member to support our transmission, because I don't have one in there right now, so I'll just fab one and I'll adapt it to this. I ordered a new one of these, but this is a transmission mount for I guess a truck, so I think you can get different styles, but the one I ordered is off of a 74 Dodge Charger 440 727 transmission, which is pretty similar to that, but that bushing is shot. So that concludes what's going on inside the engine bay here to be able to get the motor in and mounted. What do you guys say we just go ahead and push the start button on this motor one more time before I conclude this video? My neighbors are gonna hate me, but you know what? Let's go ahead and do it anyways, because it is motivating when you hear your motor run. I highly suggest just building your own little engine run stand, because you can do all your wiring and figure everything out outside of the car before you put it inside the car. So let's go through this. We got our panel board here. Let's flick up all of our power switches. You guys ready? Oh shoot, I forgot the power. Disconnected the battery. All right, let's put some power to our motor. There we go. Try this again. Power, flick, flick. Feels so cool. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1, fire in the hole! Yeah, buddy! That's not even like quarter throttle. All right, let's shut her down. Well, guys and girls, that's gonna be it for today's episode. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Ciao, ciao.